Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Student Career Coaching Webinar Series. So excited for this one. We were already talking that this is just, you guys are in for a treat today. I'm just super excited for you guys. This is going to be great. We got some great speakers, great topic. It's just great. It's the end of March. We're getting ready to get really into spring. I mean, does it get any better? So we are going to give it a couple more minutes just for some people to log in. So while we're waiting, what I'd love for you to do, number one, if you haven't already, I've seen several of you answer the question to our poll. We're talking about social media and how to make money for it. Of course, I'm going to ask you which social media platform you like the best, or that you use the most. So go ahead and answer that, and then throw in the attendee chat. Let us know where you're from. Like, we love knowing kind of what parts of the country are we representing here. So go ahead and answer this poll. Let us know what social media platform you use the most, and also to let us know where you're from. And we'll start here in the next couple minutes as we've got more and more people that are coming in. So don't be shy in the chat. Don't be shy. Oh, yay, we've got a Michigan, Virginia. That's where I'm from. Nevada, New Mexico. All right, so we got multiple time zones: North Carolina, Texas, Pennsylvania, Idaho, woo, Ohio. Oh, Courtney, you're funny. You're voting for Facebook. I use Facebook the most. Arkansas, Oklahoma, more Texas. We got a lot of Texas representing in the house. So this will be absolutely wonderful seeing all these different people coming from all across the place. Wisconsin. Whew, we got some representation happening all around here. So again, as you're welcome for those of you who are trickling in, we are just sharing out right now in the chat where we're all from. And then also too, we want to know, we're talking about making money from social media. We want to know what one you use the most. So go ahead and answer that poll real quick. We'll start here in just a minute. Oh, a Tennessee individual. Nice. Very good. So we have a lot of all across the country representation, which is just so much fun. It is wild for us to see like how the webinars really bring everybody from all across the country, which is just, it's super cool. And it's an opportunity for people to engage and learn cool and fun new stuff. Well, I haven't seen too many trickle in. I haven't seen the numbers really adjust. So to give the best interest of respect of time for everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. And then as obviously people will trickle in, they get to hear the fun stuff as we continue to go along. So I see here that I've got, okay, 26 people. We need 4 more people. If you have not, let us know what social media platform you use the most. Go ahead and let us. I'm going to give everybody 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we got a good representation. That'll be good. So, all right, drum roll, everyone. What is the most used of the people that we have here in this room? What is the most used social media platform? I'm going to guess Snapchat or TikTok? No, TikTok. I'm going TikTok. YouTube. Oh, we got some YouTube. Of course I should have said YouTube. Of course. What am I thinking in my brain? It's funny because YouTube for me, I forget that it's technically classified as a social media platform. To me, it still kind of hovers on not being one for me, and just my perspective. But yeah, we've got half of everybody in here most use YouTube. I mean, I probably am on YouTube on a regular basis, easily daily basis. So that's a lot. That's a big popular one in here. Not at all surprising. And then, close second, third, TikTok and Instagram. So that tracks. I feel like that pretty much so tracks. So now that we know what social medias you actually use, now let's get into the topic at hand. How are we going to make money off of this, right? You use it, you see it everywhere, but this isn't just kind of a fun thing for you to watch crazy videos and share reels and everything to your friends. You can actually make money using this stuff. So we're going to talk to you about that today. First, I'm going to introduce you, though, to all the adults that are here in the room with us here today very quickly. First, I'm going to kick it off with introducing me. I am your host for today. I'm Laura Massey, the Student Career Coach here at K12. been doing the career coaching thing in the high school realm for 15 years now. Makes me feel real old when I can say numbers like that, but loving it. You guys are my age group. You're my people. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so glad to be here. Also, too, we have Courtney White, who is my colleague, my partner in crime, the other student career coach who will be, if you've haven't heard her already, she is here in the chat, engaging with you guys, hanging out. So hello to Miss Courtney. And then we've got three guys. We are in for a real treat. I have been in different meetings with these individuals. They are so knowledgeable, but also too, they are just so like fun and personable. So we are just in for the biggest treat in the world. So we've got Micah Autry here with us, who he has actually been in digital marketing and social media for 9 years. We also have Michaela Rivers, who has been in the industry for 6. And then rounding it out, we've got Rachel Strange here with us, who has been in the industry for about 11 years. So we've got roughly like 20 some years experience between the three of them. We're going to hear from them a little bit later during the Q&A panel. And I'm so excited for you guys. So, but before we kind of get into the Q&A, just wanted to kind of go over, so what do we even have going on today, right? What are we going to be talking about? Well, first things first, I'm going to kind of give you a little overview rundown of like what digital marketing careers look like, right? Some of the stats, what do they do? What are the jobs out there? And then we're going to kick it over to the professionals, and they're going to start off by sharing their journeys. Guys, that is the thing that we always say. Courtney and I and any career coach worth their weight in gold is going to tell you, learn from the people that are in the industries, hear their stories, right? Because how they got to be to where they are today, you can learn so much from them. Also, too, sometimes you can like really just hear and the way that they went about it and be like, oh, I can kind of relate to that, right? So it's so important to hear their journey. So we get to hear from them, which is super exciting. And then we're going to kick it over to the Q&A time. Now, I've got some questions teed up for the professionals and they're ready to answer them. But guys, you are here to actually be the ones to answer the questions. I know you've got better questions than I came up with. So when I prompt you guys, I want you guys to be dumping some questions in the chat once we get to it. So we've only got a little bit of time and we've got so much good stuff to go over. So let's dive right in. So we are going to first, in the poll, I'm giving you another poll. Why? Because I'm always curious to see what you guys are thinking. So what percentage of consumers say they've made a purchase after viewing a social media ad? You know, you scrolling on that Instagram, you scrolling on that TikTok, and you see like, ooh, I mean, I'll own it. I have 100%. There's some products that I don't really love, but I tried it because I was like, ooh, that ad like really got my attention. So what percentage do you think? Go ahead and answer it here in the chat. I have 0 people who have answered. So go ahead and click on an answer. Do you think it's 48%, 58%, 88%, or 98%? Whew, 98%. Could it be that? Could it be that number? So what do we think it could possibly be? I want to see a few more answers. I'm gonna give it like 5 more seconds to see how many more answers we can get. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, drum roll. Are we ready for this answer? Drum roll, please. If you guessed 58%, you are correct. So let's give a reaction to all those people that said 58%. Let's give a positive reaction. Let's give some love. Let's give some thumbs up in there. Let's give some love to all those people that were answering that question correctly. So yes, so we use these social media platforms, but how do you make money off of it? It is through the advertising. It is through the campaigns, all of that stuff. That's how they end up turning around and making money off of it. And so the fact that more than half of the consumers out there who have viewed an ad, it's actually turned into a purchase, the professionals will be able to give a little bit more insight to this way more than me. That's a really big deal, right? So the opportunities then for you to be able to capitalize on making money using those social media platforms is out there, right? It's out there in droves and it's only growing and growing and growing, right? So what is it that what a digital marketer, so let me also back up for a hot second. So when we're talking about making money in social media, it's also to being a digital marketer. Like that's kind of, digital marketing is kind of the overarching umbrella where social media kind of falls underneath of. So when you see that phrase getting thrown out there, that's why we're using it. So what exactly does someone do, right? Well, first and first things first, it's probably pretty straightforward. You're posting on social media, right? You're posting, you're making sure that the things that you are posting actually are working. So there's a lot of like analyzing different data points and results. You're also managing those influencer relationships, which is funny. I think sometimes people are like, oh, like influencing, sure, I'll do that. But there's a lot that goes into it, a lot more than meets the eye, right? So that's a part of it. Then you're also wanting to make sure that you're staying up on the trends, right? Like the social media is, you can get real cringe real fast, right? Like if you aren't up on the latest trends, like you will look ridiculous, right? Very like boomer-esque, if you will. So definitely wanting to make sure that you've got those trends going on, that you know what's up. And then just approving what's called marketing copy. And that's basically all the things that you see on digital marketing, making sure that it sounds right, it looks right, grammar is correct, all that other good fun stuff. So those are just kind of some of the basics, if you will, of what they do. Now, what kind of jobs are there? Well, I'm glad that you all want to know that, because here we go, I got you covered. So these are just some examples of some different jobs that are out there with average salary ranges. We've got a social media specialist who they start at about $43,000 a year on average, and they're managing the different social media accounts. And then we've got an influencer, which a lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with that. They're on average making about $53,000 a year. And they're basically, they have so many followers on different social media or digital platforms, and they really are individuals who kind of move the needle, if you will, to like, it literally what it says, influencing people to make purchases, engage in certain activities. Then there's digital marketer, which again, this is like the broad aspect. Digital marketers use social media, but they use multiple different online advertising campaigns like websites and all those different other things. So, and that basically is who is using all those different tools to basically market the product or service that their company is selling. And then as you move on into your career, like these are some of the other roles that you could possibly take on. A content strategist that's making about $63,000 a year. They're just kind of seeing basically what is the best plan given how people are viewing and engaging with the different content. Like what do we use and where, right? And especially too, even for different generations. Like I'm way older than y'all. So the type of content that gets my attention is way different than you all at 13, right? So there has to be a strategy behind that. So that's what those people do. And then there's a creative director who lots of times those creative directors are kind of managing kind of all of the people that make up this team, right? And wants to make sure that they are managing the overall image of the brand, which social media is a way to manage that brand. And then last but not least, got this user experience designer where they're making about $89,000 a year. That's for people also too who have like really strong computer programming, because user experience, I mean, you all can speak to, I can as a user, like if something is clunky and not working right and is real, like, no, I'm not using it as much. And if it looks funky, so having that solid flow for a user experience is super, super important. So they exist out there to make sure that that flows and everything's good to go. So that's kind of like the basics of, we now understand why we make money using social media, because there's so many people out there like clicking on the ads and consuming and everything. We got an idea of what they do. And now we even have an understanding of what jobs are even out there and what they do and how much money they make. But here's the thing, guys, I'm not in this profession. I'm a career coach that can do a lot of research and can help you and all this other kind of stuff. But we've got the professionals here who they can speak to all of this stuff way better than I can. So it is time for me to shut up. And it's time for me to then allow our guests to sit here. So Micah Autry, if you wouldn't mind unmuting and tell us to basically a little bit of a story of how you got to be to where you are today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, firstly, I want to say I appreciate everybody for joining us today, and hopefully we can say something that's impactful and help you get on the right path if you choose to go down a career in media and social media. My name is Michael Archer. I'm from Texas. Saw a lot of Texas people in there. So, hey, go Texas. I started my journey in media back in high school. My brother is a musician. He was making rap music and things at the time when I was in high school. It was my older brother. And he bought a camera to make videos, cover videos, music videos. And he was like, here's a camera. Come film me. And I was a little brother, wanting to hang out with Big Brother. So I'm literally a sophomore, junior in high school, following Big Brother, started filming him. And we started editing these videos and putting them on YouTube and putting them on Twitter. And we noticed that people were commenting on the videos like, hey, who made your video? Or hey, who did that video? And I'm 16 years old, 17 years old. A light bulb went off in my head like, I can monetize this because there's a demand for the video. And if you know anything about YouTube or monetization, I'm like, hey, people will pay me money to make videos like I did for my brother. So I made videos all throughout high school. I went to college. I majored in radio, television, and film to understand more about the media industry. While I was in college, I started my own company named On Media, where we focus on creating content. So the photos, the videos that you see on social media. Then we also work as a creative agency where we're helping to make the strategy and distribute the content that we create. So it all started as a high school kid with a camera, making media for my brother.
That's awesome, Micah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Everybody, let's give Micah a round of applause from the emojis, maybe some love, whichever you want to do. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I love, and it, you know, maybe this is getting some attention of some of our teenagers, and they'll be like, oh, wait, this kind of started when he was in high school. Maybe what I've got thinking about in my mind right now might be kicking off my career. So love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And next up, Michaela, please unmute and let us know all about you.
Hello, thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Michaela. I currently live in Colorado. I was born in California, but now I'm lucky enough to call Colorado home. I, like Micah, got started in high school pretty much. I started working actually just retail jobs and found myself in retail management positions straight after high school. And because I'm of the generation that social media was introduced to in high school, middle school age, I noticed that the companies I was working for were not represented on social media, and this was right when it was starting to become a big thing. So in other job positions, I sort of took on the role of social media manager, and I just fell in love with it. I found that the skills required of the job really aligned with things that I naturally gravitated towards wanting to do. I loved the content creation side, the photography side, the aspect of adding a level of customer service and being able to connect with people in a different way. And from there, I just decided that marketing and social media was something I wanted to fully focus on. So now I am at a social media agency in Colorado where we manage social media accounts for small businesses, and we really focus on making social media management affordable for these smaller companies who really just want to target a local audience.
Michaela, thank you so much. Same, guys. Let's give some round of a virtual applause and some virtual love to Michaela for sharing your story. And again, another story where kind of pulling from what not only some of your high school thought processes, but I love what you said too about kind of aligning what you do with your natural given skill set. Like that's really, I think, is something that's good, I think, for those of you who are teenagers in the room to kind of hear and think. It's like, oh, okay, well, part of this process also too is thinking about like, what am I naturally good at? What do I enjoy? And kind of converting that into a career. So Michaela, thank you so much for sharing that story. And last but certainly not least, we have Miss Rachel Strange. If you could please unmute and share your story with the group.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel. I am from Chicago, and I don't recall seeing anyone in the chat from Chicago, and I don't blame you because it's very cold in Chicago right now. So hopefully wherever you guys are, you have a little bit more sunshine. Like my co-presenters, I started doing and dabbing in social media very young. I was in college at the time. I was majoring in broadcast journalism. So the ideal of social media was still slowly beginning to kind of unfold. Website building was really big when I was slowly starting to get interested in social media. So I created my own website. I learned a lot about SEO optimization. And then of course, Instagram became a huge thing and people started to utilize that platform a lot more to showcase their creativity. And I was lucky enough to kind of do an internship with NBC, and I was doing a lot of their social media initiatives and kind of getting my feet wet on learning about how to record, how to do behind the scenes for these news reporters, and building an online social presence for them. And I slowly started to realize this is more along the route of where I wanted to go. So I did a little bit of freelance in my years out of college, and I got the experience to work with some really cool fashion brands. I worked with Michael Kors as a freelancer. I worked with Kate Spade as a freelancer. And then I slowly started to work with Chicago Fashion Week, which, believe it or not, Chicago does have a fashion week. It's not as cool as Paris or as New York, but it's still a pretty cool experience to work and do social media with behind the scenes. As I kind of slowly started to do a lot of freelance work, I decided that I wanted to get something a little bit more stable. And so I went into the realty field, and I was their social media manager for quite some time. And that led me to come to Stride K12 because I love telling people stories, and I love being able to showcase all of, you know, the amazing students, teachers, families that we have here at K12, and incorporate a little bit more of influencer marketing into our social platforms. So that's kind of what led me into the social media and influencer lead here at K12.
Rachel, thank you so much. And I love that you showed the plethora, like all of these different companies that you've worked for, like, and social media is in all of them, right? So it's not like you've worked in fashion, you've worked in, you know, in media, you've worked in like in the education because you're with Stride now. And it doesn't matter the industry, they all have social media. Like, and I think that's got to be pretty cool. Like, it sounds cool to me. I was like, girl, get it. You've been at Kate Spade. You've been at like, that was super cool and fun to hear about all the different places you've been. So let's give Rachel some love and some applause for sharing her story. So we are now going to pivot on over into the Q&A time. So again, I'm going to kick it off with the first question that I got, and we'll let the panelists kind of answer that question. But what I want you all to do is in that little Q&A box, I'm going to highlight it here. So in case y'all are like, Laura, I don't even know where this Q&A thing is, I'm going to highlight ask a question right here. While you are listening to the answers for this first question, drop your questions in the Q&A, right? Because I'm going to pull from that, where if you all, again, I guarantee you, I've got a number of questions, but I know your questions are better than mine. So throw them in there and we will shoot them out to the panelists. So first questions first is, what is it that you like most about your job? And I'm going to kick that one off. Michaela, would you like to start by answering that one, please?
Yes, I will. Okay, so I have the privilege of working with clients that live in the same town that I live in, and it's a very small, tight-knit community. So one of the things that I love most about the job is actually seeing the results and the impact on my community, and hearing from the business owners who are 90% of the brands that we work with are not very tech savvy or familiar with the internet, and some of them don't even fully know the capacity of what we're doing for them, but them coming to us and saying that they are noticing results and it is making a real impact in their business and their livelihood and the community as a whole is the most rewarding part, I would say, about the job.
That's awesome. I can definitely see that, Michaela. That's awesome. Rachel, how about you? What is it that you like most about the job that you're doing right now?
Michaela did a great job at kind of teetering onto one of the things that I also really enjoy about my job. And another thing I can add is just the creativity behind it. So much brainstorming goes into creating on social media. A lot of people like to think that, you know, we just have a random idea and we post it. But although I wish that was sometimes the case, there's a lot of creative strategy that goes into it. There's a lot of just thinking about and brainstorming, and then having it kind of come to life and bloom into this amazing story that other people get to witness and digest is such a magical thing, on top of having your creativity, you know, that you have in your head kind of come to life. So that's probably equally as exciting to me is just being able to do something I really enjoy, be creative, and have people get to be able to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you got to be creative in this. I can only imagine like the amount of creativity. Absolutely. Micah, how about you? What is it that you like most about your job?
Yeah, so our agency has the honor and privilege to work with some pretty cool brands. So we've done videos for Porsche, the car company. We've done things for Chick-fil-A and Raising Cane's. So what I like most about my job is that we are the content creators. We're going out there taking the photos, making the videos, creating these projects. And oftentimes we go to where our clients and those brands are. So in any given week, I'll have 4 different offices. I'll be in the back of a Chick-fil-A filming. I'll be on the freeway filming a Porsche car. I'll be with some YouTube streamers or some gaming streamers. We've done things with OTK and all of these other gamers. So I think the best thing about my job is that it's always a different challenge every single day because we're working with so many different brands and so many different companies. And it's just really cool to have a different office and get to have exposure to all of those things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, in the smaller companies, I can see why that's so fulfilling for you, Michaela, especially like, you know, as we all know, especially like some of the companies that are starting out, like it's hard for them to attain. So I'm sure like how fulfilling that is. But then some of like these bigger name brands just like sound like just really kind of fun and cool to work with. So I can see, I think if I was in any one of y'all jobs, I would enjoy myself too. So I can understand why you all enjoy what you do. So we've got some great questions. I knew it. What did I tell y'all? I told our panelists already, students, I was like, here's some questions, but I know they're going to come on their A game and give us some good questions. So you all are already cranking out some good ones. And what I love is the fact that I love that even though I am my age, I can still channel my own inner teenager. And lo and behold, we've got a question about education. If you all wouldn't mind kind of sharing what levels of education you all have and that you feel is really important to get into digital marketing. And Rachel, we'll kick it off with you since you haven't started.
For sure. So I kind of mentioned a little bit in my introduction that I did go to school with a minor in broadcast journalism and a major in communication. But a lot of my skills that I learned from social media was self-taught. And I think it has a little bit to do with my age. I'm 31. So social media was slowly starting to kind of bridge into this amazing, really cool thing, but no one really knew how to utilize it yet. So I was just getting my feet wet on website building and all of that good stuff. I will say that it's always good to, if you decide to go down the path of education, communications is a great open field that you can learn a lot about marketing, social media, and just how to present yourself in a room, which I think is equally as important. However, if you don't want to go the route of furthering your education in college, I think that there's so many amazing websites that you can utilize to learn about social media, marketing, and be able to self-teach yourself. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about digital marketing in general is that no matter which way life takes you, you can always strengthen your skills as you continue to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's great advice. Micah, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Rachel 1000%. So I have a bachelor's degree in radio, television, and film. However, I personally believe from my experiences that higher education in college is not necessarily necessary for our industry. However, what is absolutely necessary is what Ms. Rachel just alluded to, is what I call experiential knowledge. There's a quote from Charlemagne the God. He's a radio personality host on The Breakfast Club. And he says that no amount of classroom instruction will give you all the tools you need to be successful at a job. And what I've learned in media is that whether you're trying to take photos or you want to film a camera or you want to figure out how to get engagement on your post, the best way to learn how to do it is to do it, to go out there, get your hands dirty and actually do the work. That's been the best learning that I have had in YouTube University. Books, as you see behind me here, that self-education that Miss Rachel talked about has been the best way to do it for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. Like being self-taught is like big in some of these industries, I think, like the self-learning and everything, which is super great. Michaela, how about you?
Okay, I have a confession. I do not have a college degree. I was going to college for communications, and I ended up not finishing, and I got here. I fully agree with what my co-presenters have said, that experience really is everything. And I just want to add, I saw somebody mention in the chat how a portfolio can be just as good if you are looking to go the route that I have taken, which is a little bit more agency instead of freelancing. I think there's a bit more flexibility, but when you're competing with resumes and job applications for agencies, a portfolio is something really, really awesome. I have found people do look for marketing degrees, but again, like when it comes down to the actual skill, if you can find ways to communicate that is always going to be more valuable. And I would say that the most beneficial thing that I've done for my career has been through networking, and really just meeting people and attending things like this, as much as, you know, speaking in them, attending them and taking workshops, and making connections with other people in the industry. So I would really say that networking is high up there for me, once you have obviously attained those skills required that you can share.
Michaela, you know what I love, and all of you on the panelists, like I love it, and Courtney is probably smiling here too. I love it when you all give them the same advice that we do, because like 100%, like your network is so crucial. So, and don't worry guys, we're going to hook you guys up with these professionals. So there'll be a moment in time where you'll be able to like jot down or like take a picture of their emails, because 100%, like learning from people is super crucial, but then also too, that networking starts to open the doors. Of course you got to have the goods to back it up, right? But opening those doors and learning from people is just crucial. And I don't care if you're 16, 26, 36, like that's the case. So great advice. There's also an additional question here in the chat, but I'm going to kind of pivot it into a question that I have here. So I'm going to kind of make a hybrid question. Is the question from the student is, when doing any of the jobs, do you get to work on your own time? I'm going to kind of pair that up with, how do you get to work on your own time and kind of do these things? And then from a virtual perspective, what is kind of like that pro and con side of it? Like, so like that time management, like how much is like structured versus how much do you work on your own? And for those of you who are working virtually, kind of what are the pros and cons kind of around that? So I'm going to kind of like hybrid those questions, because I feel like they're pretty good. And Michaela, let's kick it off with you, because I know you're working. Well, I guess explain your work situation as far as hybrid versus remote versus all that good fun stuff, because these are important terminologies for you guys to learn.
Yes. So I guess technically my job is hybrid. We have an office in Colorado, and when I am at home, I much prefer to be in the office. I really value creative conversations with my coworkers, bouncing ideas off of each other, and just I do much better being in a headspace of this is work rather than at home. But I do also like to travel, so I will work remotely from time to time and travel. I make my own schedule, so I have flexibility and freedom to get things done, but that also means I'm in charge of getting those things done. So there's definitely a lot of self-discipline involved, and I have tried a lot of systems and have found myself reverting back to respecting kind of 9-to-5 office hours, because that's how my brain works best in staying organized. So yeah, I'm a little bit flexible, but I kind of like the typical office lifestyle, which I didn't think I would until I tried freedom.
Yeah, I can see, like sometimes it's like, you know, we're all creatures of habit. And students, just for you to be aware, so hybrid is basically you work remotely or virtually part of the time, and then you work inside of an office the other part of the time. So just for those of you who aren't familiar with what that terminology is, and there are a number of opportunities out there like that. So now I'm going to kick it over to Rachel because I know she works fully virtually. So kind of talk to us a little bit about like how you work on your projects on your own versus what's structured for you. And since you are fully remote and or virtual, what are kind of those like highs and lows of it?
For sure. So I have done it all. I have, as we all know, I'm fully remote, but I have done the hybrid situation and I have done fully in the office. And I will say, for me personally, I really enjoy the remote setting. This is my first time doing a fully remote role with K12, and K12 is a great company. And one of the amazing things about it is we are all from different time zones. So like I said, I'm from Chicago, Central Standard Time. So I'm allowed to kind of have the flexibility to work within 7 into 4 my time, which is just kind of how I prefer. I'm an early riser. And so even though my team is predominantly in California, so we make it work and we continue to collaborate and communicate with each other through email and through Zoom. But I have a great team that I work alongside. I will say the beauty of working remote is that you get that flexibility to be able to travel. I was traveling to North Carolina to shoot some really fun stuff with K12, but at the same time, I was able to keep up with my emails because I do work in a remote setting and I have that flexibility to move around and do all these really exciting and fun things. The con of working remote is that if you are not a time-oriented, structured person, it may be hard to get your work done, or if you're easily distracted. I have my calendar up at all times. I have my work on my phone, which is not for everyone, but if I decide to go on a walk with my golden doodle, Sadie, I can at least know that I have my Slack available. I have my email available. So if someone needs me, I am there for them. So if that's not really who you are, I would not recommend being fully remote. But I think the beauty of social media is that you do have these options. You can have a hybrid type of situation, fully remote situation, or you can be in the office as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, it's like the highs and lows. And again, like we've got the students in here who are fully virtual students. So, you know, I'm sure they can kind of relate to some of the things we're talking about too, 100%. So Micah, share for us, like kind of what are these projects looking like as far as like how much you get to work on your own versus what is structured, and like, what does it look like for you kind of in that virtual world?
Yeah. So I am a full-time entrepreneur and freelancer. And so as a freelancer, we don't work for one single company. We go from project to project. So one week we may have 2 projects. The next week we may have no projects. And so for me, my schedule is very erratic. It's very chaotic. It is all over the place because we do a lot of on-site filming where we go to a particular company or a sports arena or whatnot and do projects. So we may have a week where we were on site, on location at these projects doing filming, but then we'll have another week where it's just editing and everybody's back home. So for us, our schedules are always changing. That's kind of a con. It's really hard to say like, hey, mom, I'm going to come visit on Wednesday when I don't know what my schedule is going to look like next Wednesday. But a pro of that is that it lets you have a lot of flexibility. You can work on personal projects at the same time you're working on company projects. And I think one of the things that has helped me most is actually each day I create my schedule just like a school schedule. I have 30-minute blocks of time on my calendar and I segment what I'm doing. So for this 30 minutes, this is my email class. This next 30 minutes, this is my editing class and I'm editing things. This 30 minutes, I'm on calls with this client. So I literally have my entire day blocked out in 30-minute blocks because I think that was one thing school did really well, is putting those blocks on us for each time for a certain task. And it's helped me in this virtual world of crazy schedules.
Absolutely. Like there's a concept called time blocking, like that's out there that like psychology has proved that that's, you know, for some people, you know what I mean? It doesn't always work for everyone, but it works for the majority of it. So give us some reaction, like give us a heart or give us a thumbs up that do you kind of help, does it help you when you structure yourself in that day? That like, yes, you have like the flexibility, but you try and give some type of structure with like time blocking or getting things done. Like, let us know, give us some thumbs up if you're like, yeah, I can relate with that. Because if I don't put that on my calendar and if I don't do stuff like that, then I'm waiting till the last minute. So, and that's hard to do when you're kind of time managing stuff. So we've got kind of a theme of a question, and I think this is a really good one. Basically talking about the advice that you all would give is that they're putting stuff out there on the different social media platforms. Like, what advice, like, I think that there was a really good question out here in regards to you wanting to become a YouTuber, wanting to become an influencer, but how do you kind of get over that hump of becoming like discouraged because like getting subscribers and likes takes a while? Like, are there any strategies that you all could give them to kind of, I think the overarching theme of what they're all asking is like, how do I level up my stuff, right? Like, how do I kind of take that to the next level? I understand the basics of it, right? Of how to start an account and what to do, but like, how do I really get my content out there in a way that's engaging and that kind of yields results? And Mike, I'll kick it off with you.
Sure. So outside of creating content and doing social media for my clients, I also have my own personal brand and get my own social media content out there. And the two things that I'll say is put a lot of content out there, do a lot of different things, have fun with it. Let the internet decide what's good. I was on a social media panel one time, and one of the panelists said, your brand or your social media platform, it's not what you think it is, it's what others think of you, right? So put those things out there and see what happens. And so for me, I like to talk about entrepreneurship and finance and self-development. And I put a video out on YouTube one time, and it got like 10,000 views, and it was about finance. And I was like, okay, maybe I am good at telling the audience about finances. Lo and behold, I put another finance video on Instagram, it got 500,000 views. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm a finance guy, not an entrepreneur business guy. So you put your content out there and let the internet kind of let you know, hey, this is what you're good at. This is what you're doing well. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is I had to change my mindset from being, how can I make this media good? How can I make this great? To how long can I last? Because if you go out there and put out content for 10 years, you're going to gain traction. If you go out there and put a piece of content out every single day for 3 months, you will begin to gain traction. So it's less about how can I make it over this hump right now, or how good can I be? It's about how long can I last without being discouraged. And I think that'll take you a long way.
Yeah, absolute patience. This has to be like a big play of patience, right? Like, I'm sure that's great advice. Rachel, how about you? What advice would you give?
Micah did a great job. The only thing I think I would kind of add is make sure you don't lose yourself and your individuality as you're creating content. And I say that because there's so many different style of creators out there. It can be overwhelming, and you can find yourself trying to emulate who someone else is and lose who you are. And I can give you an example. When I worked as a freelance for Kate Spade, I was super excited because I am considered petite in height. And a lot of the times in the fashion industry, petite, smaller, under 5 foot people don't get the ability to be able to show that they are worthy to be in fashion. And that was one of the things that I pitched myself as is, you know, we see these 5'9" girls that are amazing, and it's a great representation for the taller community. But what about people that are my height, that are 5'2"? They should be well represented as well. And so I pitched that individuality to Kate Spade. And that's one of the reasons why I got hired to do freelance campaigning for them, is because I was different. So as you're thinking about who you are as a brand, what you want to create, be yourself, because 9 out of 10, there's going to be other people that are in the exact same boat as you are, and they're going to resonate with you, and they're going to follow you because of that.
Oh, I love that. Like, be real, right? Because I'm sure, like, even though, and I will say, like, I feel like every generation that comes along are really good at detecting the fakes or the dupes, if you will. Like, don't be a dupe person, because people are going to tell it. Like, even if you think like you can play it off really well, like, don't do it, right? Because people are going to pick up on that. And that just, like, I think that just loses your credibility. And like, that's just not good to do yourself. So I love that advice. Michaela, how about you?
First of all, you both had amazing answers. I fully agree. And I think it really does come down to an understanding of your audience. So if you know who you're talking to, that's how you tie all of these things in, of listening, knowing who you're talking to, how can you relate to them, how can you hold their attention. And it really does help if you do happen to be that person, but like Micah said, you're not always going to be that person. So really tuning into what people need to hear and what they'll relate to. And then as far as like a self-discipline side of how to get through things, I think you kind of have to love it. Like if I can be a very analytical person and get lost in the spreadsheets and the numbers and the data and get really discouraged. But at the end of the day, it's a creative thing we're doing, and it's a personal connection thing we're doing. And so, yeah, don't be afraid to try things and mix things up. And data has a time and a place for sure. But if you catch yourself spiraling down that rabbit hole and feeling stuck, just remember why you love creating and tap back into that mindset. And that's how I've kind of helped sustain through the years.
Yeah. Like kind of that, like get you through the discouraging and the impatience. Like you love what you do, and remember that. Like, and that, I mean, ideally, y'all, like that should be the case with any job we do, right? Like we spend too many hours in a day. Yes, we need a paycheck to live. This world's not cheap. We all know that. But at the end of the day, you got to love what you do for as many hours as we're doing it. So absolutely. So we've got some questions, and students, I'm loving all of these questions, and I wish we had like another hour for our panelists. Like I would love it, right? If time would allow. But we've got several different kind of questions, panelists, all around like kind of giving an example of like a task that you do or like a project. So like maybe if you guys kind of just bounce around and briefly kind of shed a little bit of like light and detail and paint a picture on a project that you're currently working on. Rachel, how about you kick us off?
So one of my favorite things that I work on right now is called our Day in the Life series. And if y'all don't follow our corporate social channels, please go and take a look at it, because we try to show off you guys and what a day in your life looks like. So I've had the privilege to work with some of our SAC students, and they kind of dove into creating videos for us so we can showcase what each and every student's life looks like and all of its differences. So we have some students that are working and they do school. We have some students that are from military families and they're traveling all around the world because that's what their lifestyle kind of requires of them. And I think we are trying to do a really good job at representing all the diversity that K12 offers. So I think that's probably one of my favorite projects that I work with, is just being able to showcase what all of our amazing students are kind of doing and what that sort of looks like for our audience.
Hey, Laura, I think you're muted.
I am muted. No. I am muted because I've got a silly dog, speaking of working from home, that is like wanting something from me right now, but she's just going to have to be patient. So that was on me. I do apologize. So yes, Micah, why don't you share with us, like paint a picture of a project that you're currently working on and kind of what are those tasks that are involved in it?
Absolutely. So one of the projects that we just finished, one of my clients is Judge Vonda B with Support Court. Some of you may have seen her on TikTok. She's super huge on TikTok and YouTube right now. And we just finished up a mini doc over her. And so what those tasks look like for me now as a producer, project manager, I'm not necessarily the videographer or the video editor or the one who's going to post the content anymore. I'm kind of leading that whole team. So a lot of it is being able to put the people in the right place to succeed. So telling them, hey, this is what we're envisioning. This is the strategy. A lot of project managing and communicating with them. And then also talking to the client about, hey, when is the best time to post this video? What the thumbnail should be. So it's a lot of strategy on what I'm doing now, and then talking to the team members and holding them accountable to make sure that we get everything turned in so we can get the client the best project with the best results. So that's a lot of what I do now. I don't get to film and edit as much anymore. It's a lot about helping really cool, really awesome people do the filming and editing and posting nowadays.
That's super cool. Awesome. And Michaela, how about you?
So my work is a little bit less project-based. I have about 10 clients on retainer, so I'm doing top to bottom social media management for them all the time. But one thing that is really cool about what I do is we live in a very tourism-focused town. So my favorite part is getting to do strategy sessions with folks in the tourism industry and just really trying to plan out. We do kind of month by month content plans. It varies depending on the person, of course. But sitting down and having those one-on-ones and really nailing down their goals for the month is, I love collaboration. So I would say content strategy planning is for sure, particularly in the tourism industry, where I get really fired up.
Yeah, that sounds fun, like, and super, super exciting. Well, this time just flies. Like, again, I said I could like do it like 1,000 different hours with this stuff, hearing you guys. And like, I love, and there are a number of questions that I know that we did not get to. And I am so, so, so sorry, students, because I would love, again, to sit here with all of these wonderful individuals. But guess what, guys? Here are their email addresses, these individuals, and let's give them some love right now in the chat because they are willing to put out their personal and professional, email addresses for you all to reach out to them. So any of these questions that we didn't get around to, please feel free to email them. If you've got specific questions about your own individual story, like, you can see and hear how wonderful these individuals are. So let's give them some love. Let's throw some emojis out there and show them how much we appreciate that. And it is so important for you all to be able to have access to this. So either take a picture with your camera on your phone or jot it down really quick. We will also be sending out this PowerPoint to everyone who registered so that you will have it even in like the PowerPoint. So be sure to definitely jot this down. I'm going to throw here in the chat, please, there is a survey that I want you all to please fill out for us, that if you, just to give us feedback, you know what I mean? Like, these individuals are super wonderful, and I want you to tell us how wonderful as though you feel it is. And then also, too, an opportunity to share those, be like, this was great, Laura and Courtney, like, we want a topic like this or another topic that would be super helpful for us. So while you all are jotting down these lovely email addresses, and again, sharing all this love and giving all this love to our panelists, and then also filling out this survey, we're going to round it out real quick. I want to do a little bit of a round robin because this is the question. It's actually funny because like I'm seeing a lot of questions around like give advice around This is my favorite question to always have panelists answer for high school students. And it is, if you were to go back in time and give one piece of advice to your high school self, what would it be? So I'm going to kick that off to Micah to give that piece of advice to his 16, 17, 18-year-old self.
Absolutely. So if I could go back and talk to my 16, 17-year-old self, I would say get exposed to as many different career paths as possible. The reason why I got into media is because my brother gave me a camera. That's what I was exposed to, and I ended up going to college for it, building a business, making a career. But what if it would have been tools to work on a car he would have gave me, or a stethoscope to go into medicine he would have gave me? I think I could have went into any of those fields and fell in love with any of those things. And so if I can go back and talk to my high school self, I would say go out there, try a lot of different things and get exposure to as many career paths as possible, and you'll find one you love and enjoy and can monetize.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you say and monetize, right? Because we all got to make that money. We always got to bring it. The bag's important, right? So Michaela, how about you? What advice would you give?
I would say to myself to see the opportunity in every situation. I have worked so many jobs that have been part-time, pay the bills, whatever, and I've met people and advanced my career further in a very non-traditional route. So don't get discouraged if you're not there, on graduation day, landing your dream job. There's so many ways to end up somewhere, and every single phase that I went through was a huge learning experience. So if I, just going into everything with a positive attitude, looking to learn and looking to meet people and see what connections I can use from this, would definitely be my advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and again, to take it back to like our high school selves, like sometimes it is kind of like overwhelming and kind of nerve wracking to like field those like connections and, you know, work with it. But you know, the one thing, like, you can tell, guys, all of these three individuals here in front, they're so nice. Like, people actually want to help the youth. Like, they really actually do. And so really kind of taking advantage of the fact that you're all young and cute and like people want to help you, like, do that, because that's what they're going to do. So absolutely, like, it can be nerve wracking. But we obviously like can support you around that too, but definitely that is important. And then Rachel, last but not least, what would you say to your little high school self?
Ooh, this is a fun one. I think I would definitely say don't give up, because there's been a lot of times, especially as I grew and trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do, I would have never thought that social media would kind of become what it is today. Like I said, when I was growing up, it was like MySpace and that was it. And then, so that's telling my age as well. And so, and Facebook, you had to get invited by a college student to even get on Facebook. So it was really wild. And now social media influencing content creation has become my dream field. So even though where you're at right now in society and in time, you may not have the role that you're dreaming of, but you never know down the line what could open itself up or what could present itself. And then you can realize, wow, this is actually what I meant or what I really enjoy doing. And it's kind of coming into play. So just whatever you're dipping your feet into, give 100% of it, of yourself to it, stay positive, and you never know what could come around the bend in the next couple of years. So it'll keep you on your toes for sure.
Thank you. I mean, I just can't, my heart is so full. I wish that as a presenter, I could like keep clicking that heart emoji, because just everything that you all have said has been so incredibly wonderful. So students, let's send our presenters with the last little bit of love, because this has just been fantastic advice. This has been fantastic insight. So appreciative of everything that you all have shared with our students, the time that you took for us to be here right now. So hopefully all of you have gotten a little bit of an insight as far as like what it means to, you know, make social media money, right? How do you go about doing that? And you also have like all the questions, obviously, that we have answered today, but you've got their contact information. So seriously, for those of you who we didn't get around to quite answering those questions, feel free to email them. And feel free to, even if you have just specific questions about your own individual story, these people are here. Like they've volunteered and they're willing to do it, to pay it forward, because again, for some of us, it might have been a little bit longer, but still, we were in your shoes at one point in time, right? We aren't so far away from high school that we can't be like, wait, what was that like? I mean, I will or won't share whether or not social media existed when I was in high school. I won't date myself like that now. But it is one of those things that these individuals can really help you. So we are right at the 2 o'clock mark, guys, here at the Eastern time zone. So thank you for attending. Be sure to fill out the survey that is in the chat if you have not done so already. Panelists, thank you so much. And we will see you next month if you sign up for resume writing. Woohoo! So have a great, great Friday, guys.